You guys, we are so lucky today because Debbie Brown, who is a friend, who is also a hormone expert, is here to talk to us today. And I'm so excited. Debbie, you want to just say a quick hi and then I'll do your intro.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the day here. We have in British Columbia, we have nice hot weather. So hopefully you're enjoying it too somewhere.
Yeah, it seems to be hot like everywhere.
I know.
Everywhere it seems to be hot.
We're not complaining though, Leta, are we?
No, because we had rain for so many weeks and it wasn't even summer and it was like crazy. Like now we feel like we're finally in summer and we're almost in fall.
Almost like, over, really right?
Yeah, totally. So you guys, when you get on here, please say hi. I'm going to go back into my little commenty area here. I'm starting to learn the lay of the land of how this works and how I can go to different parts and click on different things. Good morning, Janet's here. I'm going to go in here and see if I can find you guys in here because not everybody gave StreamYard permission to see your name. So then I have to go over here and it's not up here. Okay, so I'll go back on here in a second. But anyways, good morning, someone below Janet. So you know what? I'm going to give a quick little rundown about what we're doing right now. Good morning, Beth. And then we'll get into it. So today, if you guys don't know, it's the day 1 of our 7-day macro tracking challenge. And we haven't done this for a while because we took a little hiatus over the summer. And truthfully, I was going to wait till September, but so many people have been asking for this. And quite frankly, I need it myself. So we're going to do the 7-day macro tracking challenge. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about or you need more information, please go to announcements because there's a post in there and it tells you all about it. And I posted early this morning the day 1, but I haven't put it into announcements. So just scroll through the feed and then I'll get it in there later after we're done. So that's what's going on this week. But today we have Debbie. And like, how many times have we talked about in this group about hormones? Yes, this is a keto group. Yes, this is all about health. Hormones affect everything, every single thing. And weight loss is a huge part of it. Good morning, Kim. Yeah, you guys say hi when you're on here. And also say, oh, she needs a challenge. Somebody on here just said that they need a challenge. Yeah, we all need a challenge. Comment on here if you have struggled at all with your hormones at any point in your life. If you felt like your hormones weren't, going well, or if you asked a doctor about it and that didn't go well, if you tried different things and that didn't go well, just comment on here because we talk about this in the group all the time. I can't believe how many times it comes up. And also men too. Like I always refer to women. Truthfully, I know, Debbie, you've probably had men clients and things too that you have talked to.
I've had quite a few male clients too, and they don't escape the hormone imbalance.
No, they don't. It's just us women are more vocal about it, I think.
That's right.
I mean, we just struggle so much from the time that we, our first puberty. Period. Yeah, very first period from all the way till not having it anymore and beyond. And it's just such an important topic. I just think it affects everyone. So I'm going to go through my notes here because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything today. I have been vacationing and I've been back and forth to the lake, which has been fantastic, but just a little bit out of my groove, when you feel like that, which is another good reason to do the 7-day macro tracking challenge. I feel like I need it more than anybody. Okay, so hormones. This is a topic that all women and men can relate to. When they're balanced, we are on top of the world. Like I can honestly say that for myself. I feel like I'm invincible. But when they're not balanced, truly we're like a hot mess. I mean, it's just nothing makes you feel more out of it than your hormones being out. And there's a lot of different things that are connected to hormone balance. And Debbie's going to talk about that today. If you have a hormone question, I want to say that from the beginning. If you guys have a hormone question, can you just pop it in? And at the end, we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to get to as many as we can. And then Debbie's going to go through the questions later on today for anything that we weren't able to get to. So please ask any questions that you want. Okay, So without further ado, I want to get going. I know I love to chit chat or whatever, but we have a full schedule today and I don't want to keep you guys like ridiculous too long, but we want to make sure we have time for Debbie to give us her wisdom and for us to have Q&A at the end. So make sure you ask your question if you have a question. Okay. I'm going to introduce you to Debbie Brown, who I've known for about 15 years. Debbie, I was kind of going back and I figured it's been about 15 years now.
Yes. Yep.
Debbie is a registered nurse and specializes in empowering women and men suffering from hormone imbalances to restore their energy levels, balance their hormones, and optimize their quality of life. Debbie experienced firsthand that doctors frequently dismiss symptoms that people experience when hormone imbalances occur. And with women, doctors often tend to medicate with birth control pills, antidepressants, and anti-anxiety medications. A natural approach to hormone balancing is Debbie's passion. It could involve supplements, diet suggestions, and bioidentical hormones, but most of all, it involves information and support. We need to educate ourselves. We need to be the best advocates for our health. So the Hormone Nurse is Debbie's hormone consulting company. And I'm going to put her info here, if I can figure out this little dealio here. Okay. There we go. There's her website right there. If you guys want to, she's got all kinds of really great information there. You can also reach out to her, probably under contact us. I'm guessing Debbie is right there. So you can contact Debbie there. I will also post it in later, and I'm going to do an actual post on our talk here, and I will put the link right inside there. So don't you worry, but I just thought I'd put it here in case you guys want to jot it down. Okay, so, oh yeah, very exciting. Okay, you guys. So Debbie does consultations. So she helps people figure out where their imbalances are, where they can change, how they can balance their hormones, which is so important. Debbie, we are going to give away a consultation with Debbie. Okay, so if you guys are interested in that, if you want to be put in for the draw, type in hormones. At any time throughout our talk, type in hormones. And what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to take everyone that said hormones and I'm going to put them in the little wheelie spinny thing that I like. And I'm going to do a draw. And that winner is going to get a consultation with Debbie. And that is valued at $85 US, which is $115 Canadian, roughly did the translation there. So yeah, that's really exciting. When you can talk to Debbie one-on-one and go over everything, fantastic. I cannot tell you how many people I have sent Debbie to Debbie, and they have said that Debbie has literally changed their life, literally, because as Debbie will probably get into here today, it's not always easy when you're dealing with your doctor or health practitioner. They're not always up on all the things that Debbie knows about hormones. So it's a really specified field. So I'm going to go back here, leaving Debbie in the lurch here. I'm going to go back to comments. There we go. Okay. Oh, and that's still there. I guess I can just leave that there. It's just, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Example. There we go. Okay. Without further ado, I would love to introduce Debbie. Debbie, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. There are so many people that are waiting to hear what you have to say, and you have yourself, you have such an experience, and that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and how you got into this.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I am a registered nurse, but I didn't start out in hormones, let me tell you. My background in nursing was intensive care and emergency nursing. And when I was in my mid-40s, I felt that aliens had come and habitated my body. I was having these horrible periods, PMS, anger, rage, couldn't sleep at night. It was just like, I didn't know what was happening to me. When my sister, who's a year older, she was going through very similar symptoms. She goes, you need to read that book by Suzanne Summers called The Sexy Years. And I said, well, Suzanne Summers, that's Christy Snow of Three's Company. You know, what does she know about hormones? Well, sure enough, I read her book, and just like she was talking about me. So I go to my doctors thinking, okay, I want to do what Christy Snow of Three's Company is doing. And so I started, talking about my symptoms. He goes, yeah, I think you've got some hormone changes going on. I was probably, mid-40s at that time. He goes, come and see me when you're 2 years postmenopausal. And I'm thinking, oh my God, 2 years postmenopausal, that could be years from now. Where's the bridge? So I was really, and I was too embarrassed to say I want to do what Suzanne Summers doing. I just felt like, she didn't have the reputation. It's like, oh gosh, here she is. She's reading books. She's talking to Dr. Google. So I left his office very sort of deflated, but I had heard about these bioidentical hormones through my readings, and lo and behold, when I got to the lobby of the doctor's building, there's a pharmacist there that says we do compounding of bioidentical hormones. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a sign. This is a sign. So I go in there and I talk to the pharmacist, and I said, who's ordering these bioidentical hormones? I need to find a doctor. He goes, well, I've only had 2 prescriptions so far, and one's doctor's not, he's retired, and the other one's, about 5 blocks away from here. So I hooked it down to this office and went up to the desk, and these 2 young girls, nurses or assistants, were sitting there, and I said, I would like to make an appointment to talk to Dr. Smith about bioidentical hormones. They looked at each other, they laughed, and says, we're not a dental clinic. I said, and the doctor, I guess, had heard this. He walked out. He goes, I know what you're talking about. He goes, the woman that I saw and then I prescribed, she knew exactly what she wanted. She told me how to write the prescription. He goes, I know nothing about it. So that was that. So long story short, I was on a quest. I was going to figure out what's happening to myself. I started attending so many conferences, naturopathic conferences, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, read every book I could read. One of the best books, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to read about hormones, is a pioneer of the bioidentical hormone research was Dr. John Lee. And he wrote a book, and I have it around here.
Yeah.
What your doctor may not tell you about menopause. There it is. There it is. This is
hormone Bible.
Absolutely. It's you read. I think I cried when I read that book.
I did. I did cry. Yeah. I was in Chapters bookstore reading it, and I was literally had tears coming down my eyes because doctors,
I'm not crazy, right?
They would not listen to me. And I'm like reading it going, he knows what I'm going through. It was amazing. Yeah. Changed my life totally.
And that's when I started, balancing my hormones, using a little bit of bioidentical progesterone and working on my adrenals. And within weeks, the aliens left me. And so many, and I'm probably in my later 40s at that time, and my girlfriends were all going through the same thing. We met for lunch one day. They said, well, aren't you having horrible periods? And I goes, not anymore. And I said, this is what I do. And I started, did the quick balance your hormone lecture to them, and started them on some supplements and progesterone, and they all felt better too. And they turned to me and they said, why don't you open a clinic and help other women? And I'm thinking, I can't do that. I'm a nurse. And I thought, well, why can't I do that? And I did. And I had a natural office for 6-7 years, I think, and then closed it up and sort of went into a little bit of retirement. But and then recently I came back because I knew that every time I turn around, you're in a group of women, they're all struggling still.
Yes.
So I started my phone consultation business, and and because doctors, and to their defense, they're not taught perimenopause or menopause. And perimenopause can start in your mid to late 30s, and it can continue, and the symptoms can get worse and worse and worse. And some women in menopause, and I saw women in their 80s still having hot flashes and night sweats when I had my clinic. And we don't have a Prozac deficiency. We have hormone deficiencies.
Yeah.
And, don't just suck it up, buttercup, because, we don't have to live with these symptoms. We can fix them and fix them safely and easily.
Yes, absolutely. I totally, everything you said, and I'm sure a lot of people watching are feeling the very same way. Like you feel completely out of sorts. I mean, I have stories of, I'm lucky to still be married. I mean, it's just like, it's a really, really hard time. And
struggle.
It's such a struggle. And then when nobody will listen to you and believe you. And so I had the very similar story, and I won't go into it so much because my story is actually in, where did I put it under? Success stories, I think. And one of them is more about hormones, about what I went through there. But like I had fibroids, estrogen dominance, PCOS, hypothyroid, horrendous cycles, migraines. I went through the whole gamut too, went to my doctor, put me on birth control pill, tried that for a little bit, worked for a little bit, then it flipped and went completely the opposite. Felt like I was bleeding to death. I mean, it was just horrendous. And and then I started doing my own research, because by that point, my doctor had sent me to a specialist. And the specialist checked me all out, Yes, I had some fibroids, some little fibroids or whatever. Everything else was completely fine as far as organs intact, uterus. And his answer was, well, let's remove your uterus. And I said, I'm 32 years old. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I'm having any more kids. I don't know. But like, I mean, it seems like I don't have any issues. Why would you take it out? Oh, because that's what we do to stop all of that.
That's what
And
surgeons do. They're surgeons.
there has got to be a different way. So I also started doing my own research. I also had heard of Suzanne Summers and thought, okay, well, that was kind of weird, but it got my mind thinking. And that's how I found Dr. Lee's book. And literally when I read that, it totally changed my life. I mean, that was like, oh my God, like how many years ago was that? Sydney was like 2 or something. So she's 21. So I had to do the math, but
Yeah.
and then
that seems to be the answer. Put you on birth control pills or whip out your uterus, and we'll do your ovaries while we're in there.
Oh yeah. Let's put you into instant menopause right away, because if you weren't dealing with enough right there. So so I mean, I totally understand for anyone who has gone through it. Debbie understands for anyone who's gone through it, but there is hope. There is so much hope. And I know that, like, one of the things that people bring up all the time is that, how do hormones connect with weight? How do hormones connect with me feeling stressed out? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about all the things that are kind of connected that maybe people might not realize are connected to hormones.
Right. When we're talking to hormones, it's not just your sex hormones. Sex hormones are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And frequently when you're going through perimenopause, estrogen levels start to rise. It's like the last hurrah. Your ovaries are just churning out all this estrogen. And then halfway through the cycle, you should be releasing an egg, and that produces progesterone, which balances the estrogen. But frequently, and especially if you have PCOS, you don't ovulate, and your ovaries say, hey, we've done this long enough, you're on your own here. So you get this syndrome called estrogen dominance, and it's usually, it's more PMS, heavier periods, the fibroid scenario, sleep disruption, irritability, and weight gain. Very, very common with estrogen dominance. You think about when steers are just be ready to send to the slaughter there, they actually inject estrogen pellets into steers to fatten them up. So too much estrogen causes extra weight.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think we do that in Canada. I don't think we use hormones anymore in our beef in Canada, but that's what they used to do, is to fatten them up.
Right.
And too much estrogen will cause, the extra padding around the tummy, around the hips, around the butt, and too much estrogen can actually cause your breasts to swell and be sore and fibrous and cystic. And so that's one of the hormone imbalances that happens. And with men, they can be estrogen dominant too. And the other thing that happens with men is testosterone levels start to drop. And when testosterone levels start to drop, you will gain more weight. You'll get the man boobs, you'll get the extra weight around the middle, the tire and whatnot. Okay. And the other thing that can happen, and it frequently happen, is your thyroid can become underactive, hypothyroid. They say about 2 of every 5 women are hypothyroid, and they're not being diagnosed. And 1 out of 10 men are hypothyroid. And I think the biggest problem with diagnosing hypothyroidism is that they will do one test to start, and that's called your thyroid stimulating hormone. That's the hormone that comes from the brain, talks to your thyroid to produce T4, and T4 has to convert to T3. Now, you can have a completely normal TSH, but if your T4 does not convert to T3, you're hypothyroid. And that was my scenario. And I you go to your doctor and say, I don't know what's happening. I'm exercising, I'm eating right, but this weight's not going away. And he tested my TSH, he goes, there's nothing wrong with your thyroid. So I did my own. That's right. I did my own testing. So I used my lab and, we did a little finger poke and looked at the TSH, T3, T4, reverse T3, T4, free T3, T4. There's lots of things you can test. And iodine is the other thing. What's really important for a thyroid function is minerals like selenium, zinc, and iodine. We know that minerals are depleted in our soils. Like magnesium is pretty well gone. You have to supplement, with magnesium. But so you can definitely have a hypothyroid without being properly diagnosed. And sometimes you can have antibodies that are attacking your thyroid, and they're not testing for that either. It's just a test called TPO. So you really if you really suspect that you have a hypothyroid and not being diagnosed, I really suggest getting proper testing done. It can cost a bit of money, but in the long run, it's really worth it.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel same thing. I went to my general doctor and he just did the main one, and it was within range or whatever. Then I went to my naturopathic doctor and he was able to order me different tests. Are you able to order those tests, Debbie? Do
Oh,
you do
yeah, I use a lab
those?
in out of Oregon, and
Yeah,
it's just a little
that are T
simple.
lab.
Oh, I've got a kit here somewhere. Just a sec.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know the
it's a
saliva
very
test they
simple.
have, but I
Like
didn't know
this is
oh, okay.
there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
It's a saliva hormone kit. You can do saliva for hormones, like for estrogen, progesterone, testosterone,
Right.
and cortisol. And then you just poke your finger and put a couple drops on this little blot paper, and you send it away. You can get a complete thyroid. And
Oh.
also now the same lab is doing COVID antibodies.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah,
actually didn't know that. Yeah,
yeah.
I know ZRT Lab well, but I didn't know that they did the COVID stuff, and I
They
definitely
just
didn't know
started.
that they
Yeah,
did. Yeah, and I
yeah.
didn't know. And then they will do cortisol levels too, right?
Oh, cortisol. And
That's another big
for
one.
this, we're just going to go quickly into it. Your stressful thoughts can cause you to gain weight.
Yeah.
It does. We have these two little adrenal glands that sit on top of our kidneys. The main reason for being there is to help us manage stress. Now, stress can be environmental toxins. It can be situational crisis. It can be everyday stressors. This whole COVID thing is causing a lot of people a lot of distress. And what happens is, in response to stress, this main hormone is cortisol. Cortisol helps regulate stress in our body. It can help regulate blood sugar. It can decrease inflammation in your body. It can give you energy to run away from physical stressors if you need to run away from physical stressors. It helps helps your sleep patterns. And cortisol should be highest in the morning, tapers off by noon, a little bit lower by dinner time, and then lowest at bedtime. But sometimes when we do cortisol levels, we find people are flatlined. Like, their cortisol doesn't get out of the basement all day. And that's the scenario where you just feel like you are so wiped out. Don't give me one more thing to do. Your threshold for stress changes. Your buttons can be pushed so easily. You go from 0 to 10 in less than 2 seconds. And it can affect blood sugar as well, because that's what cortisol does. It helps regulate blood sugar. Now, if you're under acute stress and your cortisol levels rise a lot, your insulin levels are going to go up, your blood glucose levels are going to go up, and you develop insulin resistance. So high cortisol is not a good thing. It can also cause weight gain. Now, the symptoms are very similar to low cortisol, and that's why we do testing. But sometimes we just look at symptoms and I'll just say, okay, take A, B, or C. There's several supplements you can do that can work on your adrenals and very easily. And for some reason, and it's the same thing with losing weight, men respond to the adrenal supplements much quicker than women. I don't know why that is, but that's just like when men start thinking about diet.
Everything.
That's not right. Yeah.
Everything's easier for men. I'm sorry, men. I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but it's true. Like whether it
That's
comes
right.
to weight loss or, supplements you're taking or whatever, it just seems like everything works faster for men. I don't know why that.
And the other thing too, and you know this, what contributes to estrogen dominance, to thyroid problems and adrenal problems is diet. Your diet's high in sugar, the carbs, the alcohol really affect everything.
Yeah.
Estrogen especially. They're saying that in fat, we all have fat cells that actually are little estrogen factories. So the more fat cells you have, the more estrogen you're going to be producing. Because we do in menopause, you produce estrogen in your adrenals and some in your fat cells. But the more fat cells you have, the more estrogen you're pumping out. So it's a cycle. It's hard to break. And so many women, and like you or men, you hear, I'm following the diet, I'm doing keto, I'm exercising, but the weight's not coming off. You just have to look at the hormones sometimes, look at your thyroid. And frequently when you work on correcting estrogen dominance and you work on the adrenals, the thyroid will start coming back into working properly again too. But the other thing is a hormone called vitamin D. It is actually a hormone. And vitamin D deficiencies are epidemic in North America. And we should all be supplementing vitamin D. I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg when it comes to vitamin D and weight gain. But, when you have a lot of extra fat cells, vitamin D is stored in fat cells. It's a fat soluble vitamin hormone, and it's not released into the stream. So you're not getting the benefits if it's sitting there hanging around in a fat cell. So the more overweight you are, generally, the more vitamin D you have to take. Now, interestingly enough,
Did you know that?
Used to do a lot of traveling before COVID came along, and would go down to the States, down in California for a couple months every year. And I rarely use sunscreen unless, a little bit on my face because, first
And
of
I
all,
know people right now are going, oh my God. But I'm the very same way. I don't use
lots of
sunscreen
sunscreens are
unless
very
it's,
toxic, and we're putting it on the biggest organ of our body, which is our skin.
yeah,
Yeah. And
I
so,
agree with that too. That's a
yeah,
personal choice if people decide. I
very
mean,
personal
if
choice.
I knew that I was going to be going for a 5 hour hike and I was going to be in the hottest sun or whatever, yes, I would put some on because obviously a person doesn't want to burn. But
Right.
like I try to get sun, as people know, I love sitting out in the sun, and every day I try to get a little exposure every
If you
day.
can
And I
be
also
20
take
minutes,
vitamin D.
yeah, 20 minutes without
Yeah.
sunscreen being exposed, you'll get enough vitamin D to,
Yeah,
for
and that's pretty much what I do every day. I take usually my lunch break and I sit outside in the sun for 15, 20, 25 minutes, something like that. And I
right.
get it. And then, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I tested my vitamin D back in March, thinking, okay, yeah, I just like to have a baseline. I think I'm fine now because I've been down in California and exposed to sun.
Yeah,
And I was taking 3,000 international units a day then, anyways. And I think I've got this covered. And I did
right.
my testing, and I was still subnormal.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to go up to, probably in the winter, I'm doing about 8 to 10,000.
Yeah,
And in the summer, because it's a fat soluble supplement and I forget to take it every day, I'll maybe take it once a week. I'll do 10, 15,000 once a week, and
right,
it doesn't cause you any harm unless you've got severe kidney problems. But
right.
it's very, very safe to take. And, vitamin D deficiencies can cause the weight gain. It can cause symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, depression, just
Definitely. Oh,
down, low
yeah.
energy, etc. You
Oh, if
know how
anyone feels like that, I'm just going to say that I'm the poster child for turning that around because I used to have seasonal disorder. Like I would get so down in the winter, and I always chalked it up to, and my hormones were great. Like my hormones were balanced at this point, but
yeah,
I always thought it was like, well, I just get down because I don't see the sun, or we're not going anywhere hot or whatever. But it's more than that. It was definitely, and
absolutely.
until I raised up my vitamin D, now I'm fine in the winters.
Okay, and another very interesting fact about vitamin D is that it decreases the incidence of all cancers. There was a study done at Creighton University in Nebraska many years ago looking at vitamin D levels, and if you have optimal vitamin D levels, your chances of all cancers go down by 80%.
Wow.
Do the
Holy cow.
pharmaceutical companies want you to know that?
No, of course not.
No.
When's the best time? Like, is there a time of year that's best to test for
I would
vitamin
test
D?
probably December.
December?
Oh, yeah, actually, even at the end of summer, it'd be interesting to
Well,
see
that's what
what
I
your
was wondering if
yeah.
maybe like in September, like after,
September.
like whenever summer's kind of
That's right.
over.
Now
Well,
you're going into winter. You want to know, am I deficient over summer to start with? And if so, how much? And how I want to get my, levels up to, 80 or to 100 nanograms. It's so interesting. It's a valuable test. And the other
it
thing
is.
about vitamin D is it increases your immunity. And with the COVID thing,
Yes. And a lot of doctors are talking about that, about vitamin D.
absolutely. Google COVID and vitamin D.
Yeah.
And you'll see that, and there's pockets, especially in the U.S., where the African Americans and the Spanish are hit hard with morbidity, mortality when it comes to COVID.
Yeah.
And darker skinned people have really
Yeah.
low levels of vitamin D
Yes.
because they
The
don't
darker
produce.
the skin, the longer you need to have
That's right.
exposure and
That's
more
right.
vitamin D you need to take.
So
That's
you
true.
think, okay, why not just test your vitamin D? Like why? And there's so much resistance to testing vitamin D levels.
Well, can I just ask too, like how, if people are wondering right now, where can we test? Like, I mean, you offer
that lab. I will use ZRT, we say in Canada, ZRT in the States.
CRT, yeah.
I use lab. It's a blood poke of your finger. You put a couple of spots of blood on a piece of block paper, and I think it's around $80 US or $75 US to test. Yeah, and it's really well worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're trying to figure out why, you're not losing weight, look at your hormones, look at your adrenals, look at your vitamin D. The other thing, look at your diet, which is the keto diet, everybody knows it's great for weight loss. But one thing to be careful with keto, don't eat raw cruciferous vegetables. The cabbage, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. It can actually cause goitrogens in your thyroid, which actually are negative affecting your thyroid. So just slightly steam them, slightly cook them, but not raw.